I've ever been a part of. I love all of them.
We just step on that pedal. We don't stop scoring. All we do is keep producing, keep scoring runs, keep shoving on the mound. And that's been our mentality all year.
All grass, no breaks. No one's nervous in the dugout. Everyone's chill. No one's giving up.
We just did what we've done all year. Just grind out runs, grind out ABs. To him, that's off to Dave. That's off to our whole team.
It's been the best year of my life, best decision of my life. I'm so blessed.
All the people on it, we like to have fun, we like to mess around, but when it's business time, we get down to business.
Let's go! Let's go, baby! Baby!
We just won this thing, won the national championship, and it's about so many people. It's about so many people that made this happen, administration, alumni. Obviously, for me, the guys that came before this group is what it's all about. There's a handful of them that are here today, and I know a lot back home watching, and that's what it's all about. It's about a program, and that's what I've been trying to build. 15 years of coaching, 10 years at Augie, and it's pretty cool when you get to this point, you have so many people to share it with.
All right, so wanted to play that video for a couple of reasons. Number one, first time I've seen it, right? No, maybe 100 times, I think, since June. But to me, what was really important with that is the end, right? That's in the moment right after we won a national championship. And for me as a coach, the first thing that popped into my mind is about all the people that helped us get there. And I think it's really interesting when you have someone that talks about a program and a culture and those type of things. What you'll see is it tends to be a topic of conversation that isn't real exciting a lot of times. But again, in my opinion, there needs to be a process that helps you get there. And yes, you have a lot of college coaches and pro coaches standing in front of you this weekend on the stage to talk about different things. But finding a way to relate to you, whether it's a youth or a high school program, and what you can do to build a program. And so, again, if you think about it, a lot of stuff that you're hearing this weekend is, first of all, it's awesome. I've picked up a lot up here, but it's a lot about mechanics. It's about how you play the game. It's how you move around around the field. It's how do you get a team to play baseball, specific to drills and skills. Really haven't heard a ton of mental stuff up this weekend, maybe a little here and there. But again, I think that those are the things that are really important in order to have success. And I will try to get you guys to think about, again, whatever level you're at. This is going to be very specific to a college program, to what we've done at Augustana. But again, to me, it doesn't really matter if it's a youth program or if it's a college program. At the National Convention, which, by the way, if you've never been to the ABCA, I would highly recommend that you guys try to take an opportunity to get down there. This year, last weekend in Dallas, it moves around every year, but there was 6,500 coaches in attendance at this thing, and it's just incredible. But there was multiple discussions on program this year and culture and those type of things. What was really interesting for me, and I know we have a lot of club coaches and high school coaches here, there was a club coach from down in Texas on a panel with a softball coach from Alabama, and a junior college coach that had won multiple national championships, and they're talking about what they've done to build their program, right? So you have a club coach that has run his program, and they try to do things that are appropriate for their group to help them build things. And so it doesn't matter to me if you're at a college, a high school, or club, you can build a program and make it kind of that culture piece. So I'll get moving. I've got a lot of stuff to go through here. Again, I think you have to start with your strengths and your weaknesses, whatever you have going on. And that can be player development, that's a weakness. It can be facilities, whatever it is. I certainly won't spend a ton of time talking about this, but when we got there at Augustana, we wanted to figure out what were our strengths and weaknesses and what could we do to help counteract those things, all right? So our how, all right? We needed to change the culture within our program. There was not a culture of winning. Before we got to Augustana, their team the year before was 13-30. Okay, 10 years later, we find a way to get to the national championship against teams like Florida Southern, Columbus State, UC San Diego. We're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, for those of you that don't know where Augustana is, all right? But what was really important is we needed to develop a culture, was kind of my point. And what started to happen is we got our guys to be more close-knit, accountable, all these things that you can see here. And then I'm going to talk a little bit later about the work ethic that goes into our guys and what are some things we do. Player development, I think, is huge. I'm going to certainly spend a lot of time on this. Providing experiences, which I think is something you can do at the club and the high school levels. And then fundraising. Life is a lot easier when you have more money to work with, right? So this slide is some information from our very first meeting of the year last fall. All right, I'm not going to go through all the things on here, just a couple things in bold, which I think are really, really important. All right, we talked to our guys about accountability, about their emotions. We don't want to see negative emotions. We love emotions. It's great, but we want them to be positive. We talk a ton about failure. All right, failure in our program is what it's all about, because if you can't handle failure, you're never going to be successful. All right, so we talk about failure. We want to put our guys in situations to fail. And again, I'll talk more, but you want to see how they respond. It's not about the failure that's important. It's how do you respond to failure? How do you learn from it? How do you move forward? For us, we talk a lot about it's more to it than baseball. It's a quote that I've been quoted on many times. There's more to it than baseball, and it's very true. You got classwork, you have team, you have your relationships, and you have your life lessons that go into it. So again, these are things I'm talking to our guys about first day every single year. So they've been in our program for 3-4 years, and they really know what we're trying to accomplish. All right. Again, for team, we want to compete. We want to compete for spots. Don't show guys up. We want them to hang out. All these things are really important. A big one here, this is a comment I always make to our current players and to our former players. This is your school. This is your baseball program. You will forever be linked to this program. And that's really, really important. I was talking earlier with some guys, and the comment I try to make is when you leave the program and you look back, your goal, and I tell our players this, your goal is that you should help that program move up a level. So I think about our guys way back 10 years ago, what we had then, and you'll see some pictures to what we have now. It's difference making, and they've helped us get to that next level of success, but facilities and everything else. So you want to make sure that you help somehow, some way. All right, and again, show up, go to work. Again, this is just my coaching philosophy. I always tell our guys, the wins and losses aren't what is important. I hate to lose, but it's not about the wins and losses, it's the process. Trusting the process, show up to work every day, and hopefully get better. Things will take care of themselves. So some fundraising. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I think you need to find a niche that works for you. What we try to do with our fundraising, with our players involved, is it's all baseball-related stuff. So again, just some different things here that we've done. The Light Up a Night event is a really fun one. We do a dinner on our baseball field, dueling pianos, have some drinks with, it's a lot of current parents, which is a great bonding experience for them. But it's been a really good thing for us in our program to do. We do a baseball academy. We do a fall league. We raise in the 6-figure number every year for budgetary support. Our fundraising is 3 times what our budget is, 3 times, in order for us to do some really cool things. So again, I'm not going to spend much time, but some different things that we do. For our all-night practice, we have some things that we do that's a fundraising-related situation, but it's kind of a culture-building thing as well for our guys. So what this is every year, what it looks like, these are some pictures and a video of what we do at the end of every night. We start at 8 p.m., finish at 8 a.m. approximately. Sometimes it's earlier than that. But we want to give them something fun to do at the end of the night. So we've done all the stuff you see here, inflatables, sumo wrestling, we've done belly dancing, we've done Zumba, a whole bunch of weird stuff we've done with our guys at the end of the night just to kind of make it fun, and it's been a really good fundraiser. Again, it's a campaign that our guys help out with, but a good way to raise some dollars. Field renovation. So again, we knew that our field, in the next slide will show you that it needed a lot of work. And for our program to be successful, to make recruiting easier, we needed to upgrade our field. So again, if you have a club program and your field isn't up to par, start to get behind some things that are important for you. If you can help yourself get more players in your program by upgrading your facilities, you can have an opportunity to attract more people to that. So this excerpt is kind of fun for me. This was an email to alumni back in 2011, and was something that I said to them. There's 2 things that are kind of cool in here. One of them, my goal is to put Augustana baseball on the map, right? Well, man, 11 years later, I look at this thing, and we've really found a way to build something, because, again, it's not because of what I did or our coaches, it's what everybody did. It's the group, it's the collective whole. But again, back to this quote in bold, you're a part of Augustana baseball, will always be linked to the school and the baseball program, all right? So what I didn't tell you is that first meeting of the year, every single year, I tell our players, when you graduate, when we finish, I'm going to meet with you, all right? We're going to talk about what I did right, what I did wrong, what our coaches could help you with, and what we could do better in our program, but I'm also going to ask you for money. I have a donation sheet with me when I meet with our seniors at the end of the year. Give me some money. It's not how much that's important, it's getting them used to donating. And all right, again, we set it up for 4 or 5 years while they're with us, and when they leave, they want to help. They want to make things better. If you give $5 a month, right, and guys keep doing that over time, and as your program builds, that starts to add up. Right? And I tell them, hey, when you get a full-time job, give us $20 a month. That's nothing. You go to dinner, have a beer, there's $20, right? So trying to give them that idea that they can help some way, somehow. This was our field before. We've got, actually this is not as bad as it looked. This is after we had done some work to it. I think this is year 2. We started building an outfield fence. Our players did it, former players' dad. So we wanted to put into their hands to say, hey, you guys are helping us build this program quite literally, right, with your own hands. And so every year we try to do something with our guys that's physical. We want them to do some work to our field, if it's staining fences, our grandstand, things like that. But we want them to be involved in what we're doing. This was the after picture after that fundraising campaign was done. $1.3 million later, we had lights, we had turf in the infield, grandstand, new dugouts. Transformed our program to help recruiting getting better, but I knew that was really important for us to kind of get on the map and make a step forward. All right? So switching gears here, experiences. I think this is a big one. Experiences is what this is all about. Again, it's life lessons, it's culture. It's creating those team dynamics that you can't do without providing some different opportunities. You have to be good at fundraising, or you need to know somebody that's going to be a really big benefactor. But again, we've gone to Hawaii, Nicaragua, Arizona, Florida. We're going to take our team down to the Dominican Republic this next January. And again, these are some things that I talk about. When we went 5 years ago to Nicaragua, a third world country, people that are crazy about baseball, they don't have much down there, but they love baseball. What we found is they don't even have a glove to play catch with. They don't have a baseball. If they find a ball and they use it, it's one baseball. It's not buckets of balls. It's one baseball. All right? So the terms that I use a lot when I talk about these opportunities we're providing for our players is that, again, it's more to it baseball, but it's eye-opening. You take some people that have been privileged in their life and you give them something like this, it's eye-opening. They're going to change their behavior pattern. It's going to affect them for the rest of their life. There's no doubt about it. So again, I think that's something that you can find a way to provide. I know Trotsky Baseball is a travel program out of California that's had a lot of success that I know has taken their team down to the Dominican Republic, their organization. So there's some things you can do even as travel organizations to provide some of these kind of things. Okay, player development. I don't put this slide up here to brag by any stretch. I mean, we're certainly proud of what we've accomplished. But again, over the years, we've found a way to help guys get better. And our goal as coaches should be to help your players reach their top ceiling. Everybody's ceiling's different. But I'm a firm believer in player development, and I think that's why we've had success getting to where we've got to. Again, we're a school in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, competing against schools that are in warm weather climates. We have to help our players get better. We're not getting that elite guy that's just going to throw the ball 90 miles an hour and is going to hit the ball 400 feet. We have to help them get bigger and stronger and help them develop. So a big piece for me, and again, not to spend a ton of time on this, you've heard it this weekend already, strength and development is really important, and we put a priority on that. So I'll keep moving here, but one thing I do want to point out, that slide on the top left is our weigh-ins. We weigh our guy in every week, so from October 1st, this would have been in early December, so about 9 weeks later, you can see the average weight gain for our pitchers and our position players. I love the term that a former strength coach of mine said. Hey, coach, mass is gas. The more mass you have, the more gas you have. Makes sense. If I'm a pitcher, I'm going to throw a little harder. Find out what their squat is, what their deadlifts are. Again, you've heard that this weekend, but it absolutely correlates. Absolutely will correlate to higher velocity. You got to get them to move better and all those kind of things that you've heard. But again, if you can train them differently, we want our guys big, strong. Look at the guys at the highest level. Pro baseball players, look at their butt, look at their legs. They're big, physical people. Bench press, there's another study out there that bench press, strengthen the bench press, and I'm not saying barbell, dumbbell. We dumbbell bench our guys to be better on their shoulder complex. But bench press correlates to throwing velocity, fellas. It's not just legs. It's body strength. It's the full mass that you have. All right, so I think that's something to take a priority in. So Moving on here, what I want to try to do is, again, I wanted to do something that's a little practical, but it's program related. Okay, so tomorrow morning, if you guys are still around, I'm speaking on hitting. Hunter's done a great job talking about hitting. You're getting some good information on hitting coaches this weekend. But again, I'm going to go over some drills and some movement patterns specific to hitting. What I want to present here today is what we do in our program, and I spoke to some guys earlier today about this. I'm a firm believer that in order to help your players get better, you need to take away the result, okay? You have to take away the result. So what this is October 4th on this sheet. The dates are down the side. But once you take away the result, it's amazing the changes that your players can make. If they're so focused on the result, if I'm a pitcher and I throw the ball in there and I throw a strike, great, it's the result. I throw a ball, again, the result is what's important when you get to game time, but if you're trying to be a coach and help that guy change his mechanics, it's hard to fix mechanics when they're focused on the result. Same thing with hitters, right? So what I will say, and I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but what Hunter presented earlier today was awesome. And I'm going to be talking a lot more with him. A lot of approach-based stuff as far as hitting goes. You want to help your players be ready and have a good approach. But again, what if they don't move very well? I got a whole bunch of those guys. Their swing mechanics are broken. Their approach can be awesome, but there's something broken in what they do. So we have to take a time of the year where we figure out how to fix the movement patterns. And again, I'm going to get into more of that tomorrow morning, but this is what we try to do. This is the time of the year. In our off season, when October hits, we have a plan and attack. So again, for us, this first stretch here is separation and bat path. We want to get onto the ground. We want to have some separation in the lower half and upper half. We want to have separation in stride and swing. And then we want to work on good bat path, staying through the baseball. So I'll keep moving forward. We move into, small group work. So our small group stuff, again, I want to spend some time where we specifically talk about mechanics. Specifically. All right, approach is great. Drills for approach are great. But I want our guys to move more efficiently, and I want them to know what it's like to move more efficiently. So again, these are some examples of what we do to help them move better. All right, so if they can get into the ground, move more efficiently, their swing mechanics are getting better. But what we have to do as coaches, in my opinion, is we need to get all of our information into their hands about what we do, how we teach, what are our drills, okay? If we do, pick a drill here, if we do an elevated backside drill, what am I trying to accomplish? Okay, yeah, we put our foot up on that mound, Coach Huber, and we lift our foot up, we take a swing. But why? Why are we doing that? Okay, don't just tell them, don't just tell them how, but tell them why. I'm going to tell them why that we're doing what we're doing and how that's going to help fix their swing and how they can be more consistent with it. So we need to change their movement patterns, and we want to introduce all our drills. So we spend some time in that off season where there's no results to change their movement patterns. Okay, and again, same thing. We want to move into an approach focus. So it is important to me that we spend time on mechanics, but then we got to get rid of mechanics. We're getting closer to our season. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving. Our guys are going to leave for the time where we can't work with them as college coaches, and you all have a time where you can't work with them. So when they go away, they need to be prepared to come back and play baseball, because the worst thing you can do is talk mechanics in that preseason time before games get going. So you got to transition into more of an approach, in my opinion. So again, as we work through mechanics, their swings are starting to feel good, look good. We got to get them back into approach. Now we introduce tosses. We get back to batting practice. We'll throw pitching machine stuff at them. So again, we want to make progress. And again, not that this stuff is right or wrong, but what I think is important is that you need to have a plan and you need to have a process. Okay, what does your year look like? And that's the whole point of what I'm talking about here today. What does your year look like? How do you transition from one thing to the next, and how do you prepare from game one and then back it up and work from there? And that's what this is in a hitting specific focus. Okay? Base running. So again, you've heard some good stuff. Thought Coach Reiser had a ton of great information. But for me, base running is exactly what he said. You have to spend time on it in practice. You have to give your guys the toolkit, and then you let them go play baseball. That's my opinion. All right? Old school coaches will tell you that they feel the need to put a steel sign on, and I say, why? Why can't you teach everything you know to that guy, and then they go play instinctively? Put your hands in your pockets. Let them go play baseball. All right, we stole 170 bases last year, and I don't know how many steel signs I put on, but it certainly was not very many. We stole at an 86% clip, okay? 86% led the country at all levels, Division I, Division II, Division III in stolen bases, because we practiced it a ton. Coaches put our hands in our pockets. Yeah, we're telling our guys what to look for, what kind of times the pitcher has, what the catcher's doing, some things that we're trying to figure out, but we practiced all this stuff in the off season. When the games got going, they just went and played baseball. And that was pretty cool for me, is we empowered our guys to know what to look for. They know when their good jump is versus their bad jump. They get a bad jump, they shut it down. So it's something you have to spend time on. Again, it's just kind of a theory of ours in our program that I wanted to use as an example of how we try to go about doing things. So multi-purpose drill, I got a whole bunch of stuff here. I'll kind of try to talk through as it's going on. What we do with multi-purpose drill is we use a drill to try to speed our guys up. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on. We'll set it up. We'll tell them what they're doing. So in this particular situation, you've got two fungos. Sorry for the left-handed pitcher here who's got no idea what he's doing with the fungo. And you'll notice in a couple slides we get him out of there. But again, you put it down and you tell them, here's two fungo hitters. You got no shortstops in this situation. You tell them where the ball's going. They need to be prepared, and I'm happy to send all this video, guys, by the way. So shoot me an email afterwards. I've got about 4 or 5 of these, 6 of them to get through. So I'll keep moving, but I'm happy to send the video to you, and you can look through this along with the description on the top. But again, it's not important what you're doing. It's trying to get them to play faster than they would in a game, and then the game slows down for them a little bit. So we try to. This is just an example. The multi-purpose drill stuff for us, just an example of what we do to try to get them to play faster, and you get a ton of reps in at one time. So moving into number 2. Again, you've got so for this situation, we got a runner on third base. So our catcher, it's supposed to be pitch outs. You won't see any good pitch outs here, but first pitch is a pitch out. Catcher's supposed to read the guy at third base when he throws down to second, and then our middle infielders, in this case the shortstop, is supposed to be reading that the guy at third. If he takes off for home, he's going to come up and cut the baseball. You got a bunt play going to the guy at third. And again, I will just keep moving through these, but you kind of are going to get the point of what we're doing. To be honest, our guys are moving a little bit slow these first few clips. As we get towards the end and double play stuff, they're moving pretty fast. See, I got a right-handed fungo hitter now on the first base side. We got rid of that left-handed pitcher. So again, getting a lot of reps in. Our guys know what they're doing before they do it, and we're just going to keep them moving, around the field. So I'll just click through here. I got a few more. So as you can tell, if they don't know what they're doing, somebody could potentially get hurt. So we want to have them have a clue of what's going on before the ball gets hit to them and what kind of play is happening. So this is something that for me, I stole it from somebody 6, 7, 8 years ago. Beg, borrow, and steal. Make it yours. Changed kind of what we're doing within the play a couple different times, just for stuff that works into our program, but you get a ton of reps in. What we do with this, how we use this, we'll spend about 10 minutes a day maybe in practice just doing something like this. We'll pick 1 or 2 of them each day. We'll just pick, I think this is the last one. I love this one. The pitchers get a whole bunch of work in here. Double play stuff for them. So we're kind of getting a bunch of reps at a lot of different positions in this particular drill. But yeah, 5 to 10 minutes a day, move on to the next thing, just kind of give them something fun and new, and it goes pretty quick, and it's a good transition from whatever you're doing for team practice type stuff. All right, so again, I'll leave this up briefly so you can kind of see it, but I don't have any videos on these. These are just some other examples. I don't know if I ran out of numbers or what, I started going to letters. Just some different things that you can do to move your guys around the field that I'm sitting in my office. I must not have enough to do to come up with this stuff. Okay, so heads up baseball for me. Again, it was very interesting last weekend to hear Tim Corbin speak. Vanderbilt head coach, obviously have had a ton of success. He talked about program and culture, and one of the things he talked about is that they do classroom time every single day before practice. Every single day before practice, they do classroom time. All right? And so for me, it was kind of interesting to hear because we started doing this, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago in our program. And again, my theory was we as baseball coaches get so focused of the on-the-field stuff. You know, the things that happen on the field were the mechanics and everything else I talked about at the beginning of my talk. And we forget about some little things that happen that they're on the field, but they don't really sometimes deal with on the field specifically. All right, so Ken Ravizza, if you don't know who Ken Ravizza is, you know, it's very sad he passed away in this past year. He spoke at the National Convention the year before, so things can change very, very quickly. But Ken Ravizza wrote a book called Heads Up Baseball, has worked with a ton of college programs, professional programs, and Ken Ravizza is a master of the mental game. All right, Brian Cain is a disciple of his that Ravizza was a mentor of Brian's. Those are two guys that we use a ton of their information. If you've never looked up any of their information, would highly recommend it. Every single year at this time of the year in January, in our preseason, getting ready to play, we do a lot of classroom time. And I buy a book by Ken, of course. It's called Heads Up Baseball. So we in the evenings, once or twice a week, we'll get together. Unfortunately, we don't have a classroom at our baseball field like Vanderbilt does. But once or twice a week, we'll get together in the classroom. Each one of our players has that book, Heads Up Baseball, and we give them some tools to prepare themselves for the game in a different way, the mental game. All right? And for me, I think that's been a big game changer because we've had a certain level of success. We've kind of got to be a consistent program, but we never could get over the top. We never could get to that edge. All right? You're playing that successful team, and all of a sudden your guys start to think about it. And they show up for that game, and they know that the team in the other dugout has been pretty successful over time. And so what can we do to get past that point? It's just another game. That guy's throwing a pitch. You're trying to hit it. He's trying to field it, trying to steal a base, whatever. It's just baseball. Okay, so for me, we needed to find a way to give our guys a different edge. And so starting way back 5, 6 years ago, we started putting it as a program. And again, our seniors are where they're the guys that lead the program and they drive things. So they start to understand what we're trying to accomplish. This week when we're doing our Heads Up Baseball talk, I left our juniors and seniors go, and I kept the freshmen and sophomores and said, hey, we're going to give you some videos here, some stuff that these guys know, and I want to show you guys what it's like to show up and be present, right? Be present. You guys are all present in this room right now, but I bet there's some of us that are not present, okay? If you're present, you can get so much more accomplished, all right? If you just do me a favor, this is a Ken Ravizza thing. Sit up in your chairs. Put your hands on your legs, all right? What you're going to find is that you're able to give your full attention so much easier than before. I'm standing up in front of you, and I'm not doing anything different other than I put you in a position to be attentive. We do that with this with our guys in practice, right? When things aren't going well, hey, guys, come on in. Hey, let's take a 10-second break here. Just space out. Don't listen to anything I say. I'm going to be talking a little bit for the next 10 seconds. All right? And I said, all right, lock it in. And you're going to hear silence. Right? So I stopped talking, and I stood here. This room would have been a lot more silent than it was 15, 20 seconds ago because you're present, you're focused. Right? So that's just one example of things that we can help present to our guys. We do a baseball IQ test. When they go home over Christmas break, I give them it's 15 pages. It's stuff that's in our program. It's all baseball stuff. Right? It's not like it's, I'm taking a test. No, it's baseball information. It's stuff they need to know in our program. But the point is, when they come back for Christmas break, we cover it in the classroom. So by us covering it in the classroom, it's preparing them for what's going to happen in a game that maybe we don't have time to cover in practice. So giving them that IQ test is it's putting some ownership on them to learn what we need to make sure that they know. Mental toughness. So mental toughness for me is a big one, really big one. Private college, great people, great families. Maybe some of our guys have come from backgrounds that they've been privileged a bit in their life, okay? So for me, how do we get some of that privilege the heck out of there? Well, it's going to be a mental thing. You got to be mentally tough. What we started doing, I don't know how many years ago now, 7 or 8 years ago, is we started doing a mental toughness day. And it's physical things that are really simple. You do a wall sit, you do a globe jump, you do wall jumps. What else do we do? I can't remember. There's another one. And what we do is we time them. All right? When you're sitting on the wall, for a minute, minute and a half, maybe you start shaking, some guys 2 minutes, whatever it is, and you can choose mentally to just say, I'm done. Your body's telling you you're done, but no, you're not. You're not done. You have more in there. Your mind can go further than your body thinks it can go, okay? So putting them in the situations to just realize that they can do more than they think they can, now they've done it, and life gets easier. Whether it's practice or a game or we're facing that big team, they can go back to that mental toughness day. And some of our guys don't like this very much. As a matter of fact, they don't always know when we're going to do this. And this year, we had a World Series champion and we had a World Series loser, inter-squad World Series in the fall. First time I've ever done this. This is a great story. So we usually will do so. They kind of get an idea when we might do mental toughness. We showed up in the gym before leaving for Thanksgiving at 6 a.m. and they thought everybody's going to do mental toughness, right? Well, what I told them, all right, winners of the World Series, you guys are going to hang out today. I got breakfast for you. You got coffee. Losers, you're doing mental toughness. You want to see some happy people and some pissed off people, okay? So we did the first round, whatever their station was, and all of a sudden you see some guys that they're not handling this very well, and some of our seniors, and I was pissed. I said, look, I called them in. I said, here's the deal. You have two choices right now. You can choose to be pissed off at me. It's not going to make a difference. Your ass is still doing this. Or you can choose to say, hey, I'm fortunate I get to work hard this morning. I'm getting way better than these guys that are sitting here eating breakfast watching. Those are your choices. How are you going to handle it? You want to talk about a different setting the next 3 stations? Unbelievable. Their mindset changed. I'm still probably a jerk to a bunch of them. I don't really care. But their mindset changed. And that's the whole point and the whole concept here. So again, we're trying to get our guys to fail. We practice failure. I'll set up the pitching machine, and we'll put the dirtiest slider you've ever seen in your life from way too close. They're going to swing and miss a lot. We'll put them in the cage, and I say, hey, you got to stay in there, and you're going to swing until you get a hit. Put the infield out there. You got to stay there until you get a hit, and then you get to stay there until you get an out. It's amazing. They'll swing 15 times, and they feel like idiots, feel terrible. But they're failing. How are you going to respond to it? Are you going to smack your bat on the ground, or what's going to happen? All of a sudden, they'll get a hit, and they feel good, and now they get another hit. They've swung like 15 times. They couldn't get a hit. Now they get 3 or 4 in a row. How the heck does that happen? Confidence. It changed what happened in that particular setting. All right. So if we want to play, actually, you want to hang on 1 second before you play. So to set this up again for videos, for teaching, this is a situation where this is Zach Greinke. We talk about with our guys some certain things we're looking for in bunt plays. If you can show it to them, it's a lot easier to get them to understand. So runner on second base, pitcher throws a pitch, and what our focus is, as soon as you throw a pitch, execute the pitch, move to the third base side. Okay? Throw a pitch. Don't just hang out and wait for the ball to get bunted. Throw the pitch and move. So we go ahead and play the slide, and you'll see Greinke do this. There's 2 clips here. Okay, first one, he moves before the ball got bunted. He's got plenty of time to recover, get to the first base side. Next play, he moved way before the ball got bunted. That's a great bunt, by the way. Easy lead out at third base. Okay, so this is just, again, it's one example of a video we show to our players to get them to understand, before we do our bunt plays, know what you're doing. Here's an example of what it looks like. This is as successful as you can get with that specific skill and drill. So the more that you can do that for your players, I think the easier it becomes to teach them. All right, so I've got about 5 minutes left here. Just a couple things to kind of finish up on culture. And there's some cool things here for me again. But again, I'll start with the bottom, a quote by John Wooden, and I think this is really powerful. Our tendency is to hope that things will turn out the way we want them to, but we really don't do the things that are necessary to make those things reality, okay? And this works both ways. As a coach, we hope that our players will do what we want them to do, to work hard, prepare, be ready to go when game 1 hits, but they don't maybe do what's reality to get themselves there. So we have to make sure they understand that. The other part of it, all right, let's look in the mirror. It's on us. I want our players to work hard, and I want them to be ready for game 1, but what are you doing to help make that a reality as a coach? All right, what's your process to help them get there? So for me, I use the leadership example. I've been very disappointed how the leadership in our program has been during stretches. We've had wins and losses. Again, I hate to lose, but the wins and losses aren't what defines us. We've had a year where we have a situation where we go, 35 wins and 18, 19 losses, and it's a crappy year. I feel terrible at the end of the year. And this is a true story. The next year we had the identical record. We get done with the year, and I was so happy. Loved our guys. They handled things great. It was a great year. What changed? We had leadership in our program. I didn't need to be a jerk. Our seniors took care of that, or our juniors, our upperclassmen. But what I understood as a coach is that I had to help them get there. That's what I figured out. I had to train them to understand what I'm looking for. So we started doing leadership training. Took some guys in each class and helped them understand freshman, sophomore, junior, senior years. By their senior year, they know exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. I'll give you an example. If you're running a bunt play or a first and third defense and things aren't going good and you're pissed as a coach, if you're like me, you're jumping on your guys because that's not acceptable. If we do this in a game, we're going to get our butts kicked. We need to do a better job. Okay, but flip the script on that. If you got a group that's great and they have some leadership, things aren't going well, you can feel it. Everybody can feel it. Okay? All of a sudden, one of the guys on the team jumps on everybody on the team, and I'm standing there with my fungo bat like, all right, this is pretty cool. They reset their mind, they refocus, and it is amazing. It is amazing how crisp and clean those next few reps are. Hey, guys, just relax. We're just playing baseball. But if the coach is yelling at them, that next guy's like, oh, crap, I hope I don't screw up, right? But if you can change that dynamic and your players do the yelling and the screaming, maybe not yelling and screaming because they're not tough enough to do it, but if you try to get them to have that accountability and call each other out, it helps a ton. So some team goals, 2018. I'm not a huge goal guy, but last year's team, before we went into our season, they got together on their own outside of the coaches, and they sent this to me. Coach, can you put this on the practice plan? Yeah, absolutely. Gives them a reminder of every day what they're trying to accomplish. Okay, so there's obviously some goals as a team, but some expectations that they have, which are great. There's some great words here. There are some great words. Control what you can control. Be engaged. I've had previous years where they talk about accountability, which I always tell them, hey, 40 wins, that's not that hard. I mean, it's really hard. But what's really hard is holding each other accountable, being engaged every day. Those are the tough things. All right. A few years previous, 1,376 miles to Cary, North Carolina. Our national championship is in Cary, North Carolina, USA Baseball Training Complex. Beautiful place. I've never been there. I had no clue. But our guys took this sign. I walk into our indoor facility one day, and there's a sign, 1376. As I walk, what the heck is that? Some seniors. Coach, that's the distance to Cary, North Carolina. Man, I like that, right? You got something, you walk in, you've got a focus and a goal. And I'm going to end on this. This is the last thing for me. I'll get off of here. But King of the Cage, it's a culture of work. This is the best example I can give you. There's a lot of things in our program. We do a King of the Cage competition. What it is we just hang a sheet. It's the sheet on the side there. This is from our very first day. There's 25 guys on this sheet, and I think 23 of them showed up that first day, and I didn't set up the sheet till 8 p.m. This is outside of practice time. They went in and got their work in. It's not important the why or the how. I'm happy to share what we do. It's nothing special, but it gives them some accountability. They go in outside of practice, and they get their work in. Someone wins King of the Cage for the day. The guy that wins the King of the Cage over the course of the offseason starts game one of the year, gets their bat engraved with their name on it. What I started doing a few years ago is we also had whoever showed up the most, the appearance guy, whoever the most appearances also gets to start a game. Okay, so what all of a sudden happened is last year we had 8 guys show up, perfect attendance last year. I'm like, holy crap. I had some guys that got no business playing yet. They're freshmen, but they put the work in, and I found a way to get them into a game, right? We found a way. This year, through 20 dates of King of the Cage, it's going to change if you guys will fall off. We got 18 of our 25 guys have had perfect attendance. No idea what I got myself into as a coach. But that's a culture of work. That took time to develop that over years. All right, so that's what I'll leave you with. Last slide, 1,376 miles from Augustana. We got to raise a trophy. You put the time in, you have people around you that develop a program, and really cool things turn out. Thanks for your time, guys.